Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those that may be in a different time zone. My name is Melanie Richmond, and I am your executive well-being coach with True North Wellbeing Coaching. So today it will be me on the show, and we're going to be talking about things that you may be avoiding that could be holding you back. And if you allowed yourself the space to have those challenges come up and face them, how you could really take strides into becoming who you want to be. So before we jump into it, the inspiration behind today's talk came from a retreat that True North did at the end of June. We had a lovely group of participants that went just outside of Edmonton near Pigeon Lake at a retreat center called Pure Awareness. Bless Carmen and her lovely retreat center. And during the retreat, the theme of the retreat was really disconnecting to reconnect with yourself. And I love going on retreats. I think it's so important for yourself to have the space and the time to not have the distractions from home, from work, whatever those distractions might be for you, the housework, just be somewhere where you can really unwind, unfold some things that you might be grasping onto, and be able to release it. So we had a chance to disconnect in order to reconnect, and that involved a lot of time in nature, having our phones off, and also doing a little bit of ceremonies where we did some mindset work as well as mindfulness work and some yoga practice and breath work. So all through those different tools during that retreat, our participants got to unfold some of their things, and all of us as we move through life are going to keep unfolding. And as you keep unfolding, that's where you become more available, more present, and able to offer help to others and to be present with them and become the person you want to be. So, although it's easier to close that closet door and have our junk all stuffed in there and you can't see it, it's still there. It's still weighing us down and it's not organized and it's going to affect us later on. So today's talk is about the secrets behind uncovering those challenges, the things we keep in our closet, and the things that we hide under a bed, wherever the place is that you keep it in your house. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be space within your mind that you're carrying, a thought, a mindset, a false belief, a limiting belief that's really holding you back into stepping into your potential. Or it could be emotional. So it could be something that you have not processed, and emotionally it's energetically draining you because you're holding on to that emotion. That is energy in motion that should be moving, but if you're holding on to that, it is not going to allow you to recharge and have that energetic flow throughout the body. So a lot of what I'm speaking about today is about summer, because we are in the season of summer, and that was something that we also discussed on a retreat. And summer is such a beautiful time. It has a lot of yang energy, so that means that we're out and about. People are coming out of the pandemic, they're going on the trips, they're seeing their friends, they're going to restaurants, they're going golfing. Like, everybody seems so busy and doing things. And that's a common trend in the summer. It's really an opportunity for you to get out into the world and enjoy life, because that's what it's all about. The weather's usually really nice. So more time to play, interact. It's the season of growth. So really, summer, if you're ever going to plan on taking action on something, Summertime is the time to do it because that's when the days are longer, you have more energy, and you've matured. You've matured from the winter and from spring, and are ready to take action. So that's why today I also want to talk about why it's so important to know what you're avoiding and uncover it. Okay, so if we look at what is it that we're avoiding, and like I mentioned before, that can be in the form of physical. So we're physically avoiding doing exercise because it just seems like too much. We can't commit to a schedule, or we're physically avoiding, spending time with our family. You might be so busy at work that you are physically not present with your family. Or it might be something that you're avoiding that's challenging, that could be emotional. You're emotionally avoiding grief from a lost one, from somebody that you've lost in recent years, or it could be even a long time ago. It could also be grief from the pandemic, things that you didn't get to experience. Like for me, I was on my first mat leave during the pandemic and was not able to be with any other mom's group. Already being a mom to a newborn can be isolating, and then the pandemic added a different layer to that. So there could be various emotions that you haven't let go of and haven't uncovered. And then on the mental state, so the pandemic was really good in advancing our industry with flexible work arrangements and working when and how you want. And as you can see, I'm working from home. So, but it was also really tough on people's mental health because we went from having a very structured lifestyle of going to the office. These are your working hours. This is when you finish. And those were clear transition points as to when to let go of things, and also the ability to see people. Whereas during the pandemic, we were very restricted. We were very disconnected from others, which caused a lot of mental burden throughout society. And we're seeing some of those effects still right now. So if you are struggling, I strongly recommend speaking with a therapist, or feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to chat about, what can we do to help improve your mental state, and how I might be able to offer some help. Okay, so 3 different kinds of things that could get buried in the closet, buried under the bed, things that you're avoiding. So physical, what aren't you doing? Where aren't you showing up? Mental, what mental load are you carrying that's dragging you down? And emotional, what energetically you're not showing up fully, right, for the things that you love in life. So from those 3 things, you have to look at the resistance. So why is it that you are avoiding that thing? So you need to ask yourself some good questions, and you need to give yourself the time and space to reflect on it. So let's say that you are working really hard, because I know you're all hard workers here. You're working really hard and you are not having time with your family. So you're starting work really early in the morning, you're working till dinner time, and then after dinner time. So physically, you aren't there for your family. So what is the resistance? Why can't you put some clear boundaries around when you're working? And the other thing is, it's not really good for you, obviously, or your family, but it's also not good for your employer. Although you might think while you're working so hard and putting in those extra hours, when you're not creating time for your mental, physical, emotional well-being to be with your family, you're actually being a lot less productive. So you're going to have a lot more time wasted working on priorities that are not priorities, so not identifying those things. So anyways, going back to the example, if you are not showing up for your family because you're too busy with work. What's the resistance? So why are you prioritizing work first? Is it something that you're doing it for somebody else, so an external validation, or is that something for yourself that you were raised that you always have to put your work first before your health or your family? So having those questions of why am I committing to this instead of that? Because you only have one life to live in this body. Some people might think differently of reincarnation and whatnot, but you only have one life to live in this body. And if you are not intentional about what you prioritize, what you value, and who you spend that time with, life is going to determine it for you. So you're going to allow your work to determine your decisions as to when and how you're working. And they might not follow, your values and what you actually want for yourself. So it can be a really hard thing to look at, but know that in looking at it, in having that harder discussion with yourself of why can't I prioritize my health? Why can't I put my family first before anything else? By doing that, you then uncover what are your resistance. And they might be, like I mentioned, external beliefs or internal subconscious beliefs that from your upbringing. But knowing what you want and what you want to become, who you want to become, that's the first step in transforming. So physically, you have to become the person you want to be now. So even though you might be somewhere else, you might be in a place where you're working all the time, you have to start setting those boundaries, saying, I am only available from this time to this time. After that, this is time for me to be with my family, and this is time for me to do physical exercise. Because in order to maintain an overall well-being, and I've spoke to this about in previous lives before, is you really need to look at it holistically, like a 360 view of it. So if there's one thing that's off, it's going to affect everything else. So let's say physically you're not there, you're checked out, then you won't be there mentally or emotionally because you're physically not there. But same thing, if you're mentally checked out, you might be there physically for your family, but you're not able to have those meaningful connections with your spouse or with your child. So understanding that everything's interconnected within the well-being realm, and that in order for you to find more joy or feel more joy in life, you have to, or you want to thrive in all of those areas. So first question is, what is your resistance? And really go deep into that. The second item is, whatever the resistance is, it's really good to write it down, communicate how you can transform that sentence. And instead of, let's say for the example of you're working all the time, I don't want to let my boss down, or I don't want to let this client work slip. Can you change it in, can I ask for an extension so that we can produce a better result for the client? Or can I have a discussion with my manager to see if we can look at outsourcing or adding new resources to our team so that we can better balance out the work, so that I don't go into a burnout soon and quit this position because that's a worse position for your boss, right? So really understand, how can you help yourself so you can also help your employee? And then that will also trickle into your family. So you're going to have support with that. So if you start making some pretty big mindset shifts around your boundaries and what are your priorities, you're going to have the support within a community, so of like-minded individuals, At True North, we have an awesome community. If you are not part of our private group, please send me a direct message, and I'm happy to share the link with you. This is a place where people can share different experiences, and we have different polls and things like that. So it's a great place to be. The other place you can find support is with a coach or an accountability partner. So I strongly recommend that anytime that you're pushing through something new, it's really easy to be motivated at the start, but when you slip, are you checking in on your accountability as to what you committed to? And it's easy sometimes to just fall back into old habits after we've slipped once. But if you've invested in yourself, invested in a program, or invested, with someone that you trust and you're close with, a loved one, to fall back onto your why as to why you're changing your behavior, why you're changing your lifestyle. And I see it so much in industry. Like, I've even had people comment to me, and it was such a big compliment on how I prioritize things that I love in life. And I have strict boundaries with that and my work. Because in order for me to show up the way I want to energetically for my work, I need all the rest of it in my life. I need time with my spouse. I need time to golf. I need time for my yoga practice, mindfulness, to go inwards, to do the internal work. And I want time with my family. Those are non-negotiables. And once you can start reframing your non-negotiables, you're going to have a better time management. You're going to have a CEO schedule, and you will be overall more productive because you're going to be in a clearer state of mind. You're going to be lighter. You're going to feel better. So if at any point you're like, hey, I'd love to feel that way, and you're not there yet, we will be running a workshop in early August, which is free. And I'd love for you to join. It's going to be an introduction into our 3-month program with True North Wellbeing Coaching. So I'd love for you to reach out, and I will send you some information on that. Or if you want to just jump on a Connect call, I'm always happy to chat about your situation. All right, so get the support. That's the big message here for number 2. And then number 3 is you have to allow it to happen. You have to create the space for it. So like a plant, you've determined, I want to plant these carrots, or I want to plant this tree. We just did a major landscape project in our front yard during our staycation, and it was a bit more work than we anticipated. And it's gorgeous now, but it's amazing how much more work can sometimes take to redo something. So know that it does take time. You have to create the space for it. And then after you create the space for it, you have to nurture it and keep attending to it, because there's always going to be weeds that are going to grow back. There's going to be leaves that are going to, become dead. And if you look at a tree that has some dead branches on it, the tree is still alive as an organism. But if you start removing those dead branches, the tree will overall do better and start growing new branches. But if you leave those dead branches on, it's eventually going to take over the rest of the tree, because that's like that stagnant emotional burden that you're carrying. It's taking away the energy. So I hope that was helpful for you today. So remember the importance of unlocking things that you have been hiding, that you are avoiding, challenges that are tough to look at, but are critical for your growth and for you to thrive. So the first step is, what's the resistance? Understanding that, getting crystal clear on why is it that I'm defaulting to a different direction, and what can I do differently to go towards who I want to become. Have the right support. That could be a coach. It could be a therapist. It could be a really good mentor. So get that support, Get that accountability partner. And if you try somebody and it's not working, keep going. Keep going until you find somebody that has 100% confidence in your capability to change into transforming. Because you need to believe in yourself and they need to believe in you. And the first step is believing in yourself. So you have to be 100% in on what you're changing, 100% committed, because you are that first step. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen. And the last step is to create the space and let it unfold. All right, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Again, my name is Melanie Richmond. I am an executive well-being coach, and I would love to connect with you. Like I mentioned before, we will be having a free workshop at the start of August. So keep an eye out for some posts and information on that. I'd love for you to join us. It's going to be a very interactive, engaging session, and you're going to leave wanting more. Anyways, take care, guys. Bye-bye.